Hello, everyone, in new episode of Marwa Khalid podcast, where we focus on how we can help Sudan, rebuild Sudan, and help you personally, me and you and every Sudanese in Sudan to have hope and to heal from inside and to think in a practical way. So today, the last sentence or words I said, practical way. In this war, many of us been affected badly by this. Some of us lost their jobs, some of us lost their businesses. Me myself, I lost my job. So it's something that everyone is going through right now. And as Sudan is returning right now, Khartoum is slowly start to heal. Many of us now return to Sudan. And now they are thinking about how they can rebuild their life, start maybe business, finding a new job. There's many ideas going on right now, but many people do not know where to start, how to start, maybe have the motivation to start. So to talk about all of this, I have this episode will be special. So we will talk to someone who is expert in this field. And so I'm happy to have with me today in this episode, director at E4Impact Foundation, Professor Fabio Petroni. Hello, and good to have you here in my program. Or I don't know how to say it. I always say Marwa Khalid podcast, so I will say just the podcast.
Very nice being with you. I'm very happy to reconnect.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to you after this long time, and for the people who are watching this, we had many cooperation back in the time, and I know Professor Fabio have many contribution in Sudan, and you are familiar with Sudan atmosphere, business atmosphere, everything for years.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I've been coming to Sudan since 2018, and I must confess it's one of my favorite countries in Africa, which I've visited plenty. So I really was in love with Sudan, and for me it was very painful when we had to discontinue our activities over there. But I got a chance to meet with many unbelievable entrepreneurs who did great things. We were able to create a lot of jobs, and I think there is still a great opportunity for entrepreneurs in Sudan to start something new.
So when we talk about our country, my country, sorry, but my country, Sudan, as now fragile post-war economy. Right now, we are going through a lot of things right now. People, and even the focus on businesses and economy is not the first thing. Right now, we are having much challenges about security, health, and other stuff. So there is no focus on business. And we know that many people right now are returning to Sudan from all around the world. And they are trying to think how they can start their life. So how we can encourage young Sudanese maybe, or all categories of Sudanese, how can they start enterprises, maybe small project? So what do you think in this area?
First of all, it's great to know that people are going back to Sudan, because I believe this is the foundation for restarting the economy, people going back, right? And maybe also taking experience they along. I understand that when you are, let me say, getting out of such a dire situation, it might be to some extent scary to try venture into a business, right? But again, I'm reminded of what happened in Italy after World War II. We were really in a very, very bad shape. But the very fact that we were in a very bad shape was an unbelievable opportunity for many entrepreneurs, exactly because we had no running water, we had no electricity, we had no nothing. I mean, it was even complicated to put your hands on a piece of bread, right? Entrepreneurs were able to turn these issues into opportunities. So you were mentioning we have no homes. Why don't start from there? Why don't start a company which builds affordable homes? And we know that as soon as such a complicated situation, start being recovered, let me say, investments will come along. So, at that point, entrepreneurs who, took the risk to start something will be able to enjoy that kind of foreign investments which will come in. If I may,
and they contribute to the economy itself or the community itself by creating something useful like building houses.
absolutely, absolutely. It could be houses, it could be food processing, it could be basic health services, it could be even education. Many of the entrepreneurs I've been working with before the war, they were into education, right? We'll still be in need of education, and probably private education will pick up quicker than public education as we are rebuilding also the public infrastructure. Let me say, of course, it takes a lot of courage, a lot of nerves to be able to endure, the fragile situation you will be starting a business from, but it is very possible.
Okay, this is something that we can build on. But now people are thinking about businesses. They are thinking in their minds. They want to do something. But what do you think that the other things that related, like with the business itself, like attitude, the approach, the skills that people need right now, especially as they are coming with a little bit, they doubt themselves. They feel like their confidence is not in the right place right now. So what can we say about this?
When we're talking about entrepreneurship, or we're talking about somebody who wants to start a business, personal attitude is everything, right?
Okay.
Not being let down by a failure is a key attribute of an entrepreneur. So they say fail fast, fail again, and then succeed, right? This is what we usually say. What in my feeling, my own view is entrepreneurs who are going to be successful in Sudan right now are those who are going to be able to turn their, let me say, mixed feelings towards whatever happened in Sudan into positive energy, into action. So those people who feel like, well, I'm very angry, if I may be honest, about the situation in Sudan, and now I'm going to turn this anger into a business.
It's like an energy. You mean the energy itself?
Yes. I would assume people right now is full of energy. They want to do something at this point. They want to show that they can do something, they can fix the situation, and the real secret is to channel that energy. And let me go back again, even that anger. Many people might be angry about the situation and channel it into a business which is doing good, which is providing basic services to the community, which is providing education, which is providing basic health services or whatever it is. But this drive needs to be challenged into a business, right? So that it can blossom into something good for the communities.
Yeah, and this is actually remind me of small businesses that now started to appear in Sudan, especially these businesses, which is cleaning companies. So young Sudanese right now, because many people abandon their houses right now, they just go, so they don't know anything about their houses. So many young Sudanese right now, they are working together to clean houses, to make it ready for people to return. And this has been going for a while. Right now I can see this for about 6 months right now, and I think it's a good initiative that could encourage people to carry on in the same approach, right?
Yeah, this is an unbelievable example, right? Those homes are being, let me say, to some extent abandoned for a while. That's a business opportunity. Cleaning services an opportunity, probably fixing utilities is another opportunity, maybe.
So it's like an upgrade to the business itself,
Exactly. Maybe now my house is clean, but I realize my pipes need some work. So plumbing could be a great opportunity. Some electrical network might be gone in houses, and you might be working on that. Running water is another one. Maybe furniture needs to be replaced. All this are businesses. When you think about just a house, and what those houses will need in order to be home again, let me say like this, you can think about so many businesses.
And by the way, I think it's going to be something that could encourage you after you, because this kind of businesses cannot go for a long time, because people will return eventually in a year or 2 years or 3 years. But it will help you build, I think, a budget that could allow you to start something better in your life. And then this is part of growing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You start small, you start making a little money, and then maybe you grow your business, or you might change your line of business as well. What we say is, the best way to do business is to be in business. Maybe today we start with a cleaning service. Maybe this cleaning service company will be doing good for a couple of years. Then at that point, Sudan is back on their feet. Families, moved back in. There is no need for this anymore. We can move on to the next one. We can move on to a private school and whatever. I mean, entrepreneurship is basically the same across industries. So if you learn how to be a successful entrepreneur in Sudan, right, in a certain industry, then you can move on to another industry.
Okay, sounds fantastic, and will take me to ask you about women in Sudan. I think this category, many, especially women in Sudan, been victim in this war the most. Many of them been affected by violations and many things that I don't want to paint this episode by that, but I want you to give them advice, especially women in Sudan, about how they could be part of this initiative, how they can to start their own businesses, to enterprises, anything.
Okay. In my own experience, women in Sudan, they don't need much advice. I mean, I've been having so many entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, that I don't really feel like they need any advice.
Okay,
you know your way up to the top. I mean, and
oh, this is great. Yeah.
yeah, I've seen so many of you succeeding. I mean, what advice can I give? I mean, it is really all about trust in yourself, and this is something Sudanese women, they don't like it, right? I've been in touch. I've stayed in touch with a lot of the entrepreneurs I've been working with, many of which are women. Just to tell you, around 40% of the entrepreneurs I've been working with in Sudan back in the good old days are women, right?
Wow.
And like yourself, you went to Egypt and you started a new business, this podcast, for example. I've been in touch with many others in Egypt, in Ethiopia, and even in France, and they were able to start a new life and new businesses. So really, the advice I can give is, if you are abroad, try to go back, right, and channel your energy onto a business, and never listen to anyone who tries to keep you down. I mean, that might be the case, that somebody might say, look, I know, whoa, this is a fragile economy. Please, go look for a job. I mean, just listen to your heart. The heart of a Sudanese woman is so strong enough to endure everything.
Yeah, and when you say that, we do have the energy. Me personally, many people say to me that, okay, you start a podcast. It's not like you're gonna create some good money from it, like what you are doing right now. So I think if you become patient and you start by helping your community first, it feels good, by the way. Even if you don't think like it's gonna give you the good income that you want, but it helps you to feel good that you are contributing and doing something for the community. And in the same time, it gives me power to think in a productive way and think on another project in my future. So I do understand what you're trying to say right now.
Yeah, and always money follows the brave, right? What happens if you don't start somewhere, you're not gonna make anything out of yourself, right? Even if you start very small, even if people tries to discourage you, or maybe they say, okay, I'm starting this podcast, and it is not going as high as I would have expected. It is a start. And
Yeah.
as everything, the startup phase is the most complicated one, right? It's
It's never easy. It's never easy. It's very hard. Yeah.
it is never easy. You can expect a few hard days, but again, the best way to do business is to be in business. I can start here, I learn from my mistake, I improve, and maybe at the beginning my um you know I'm not going to be super happy what
Yeah.
with what's coming out of what I'm doing right now, but for the time being, you probably will. I remember, this is a story from another country, from Ghana, and I was walking down the street, and somebody calls on me, and that was another entrepreneur,
Yeah.
which I worked with probably 3-4 years before, and he told me
Mm-hmm.
I finally was able to start my business, which was a pharmacy. It took him
Mm-hmm.
3 years, but the perseverance, and his ability to endure, the hard startup phase
Yeah.
brought him to accomplish his dream. So
Yeah.
start something small. Start with what you have. Doesn't have to be anything very fancy, and learn from where you're starting. You might
Yeah.
find yourself in a totally different line of business, but you will get to that line of business, to that, maybe we hope, that gold mine, because of where you started from.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree 100%. And I hope all Sudanese are listening to this episode today and understand how it's hard to think, but it's easy to start. After you start the first steps and you get from the hard part, which is the comfort zone, you get out of it, and then everything will be fine. So, as you are someone who is very, like you are a big part from international organization and you are working with Africa for a while, I want you to tell me what is the role or of the donors and international organization maybe and all the international stakeholders in general in Sudan, how they can play part in helping Sudan right now when it comes to small businesses and entrepreneurs and enterprises in general.
I think I think for the time being, the international community will be looking into, let me say, backbone projects, right?
Wow, okay.
That's what I believe. They will be looking into state building. They will be looking into infrastructure. They will be looking into main energy infrastructure, and so on and so forth. Those kind
Yeah.
of emergency-like thing that the
Mm-hmm.
country will need to get back on their feet. And then there will be a second phase when they will start looking into, let me say, smaller businesses. But here we
Yeah.
need to play smart. So knowing that international investors will come in, and will come in at the bulk level, we also need to position ourselves as entrepreneurs in the value chain of those huge projects, right? So one of the areas I'm sure investors will come in and will come big is health, right? So health might mean building hospitals, might mean training doctors, might mean all sort of activities around an hospital. But again, those hospitals to run will need a plethora of small
Mm-hmm.
businesses. We'll need businesses to clean up the hospital. We'll need businesses to fix the wires. For maintenance, we'll need businesses which can trade in medical equipments. Think about how an hospital work, right? How many
Mm-hmm.
medical supplies you need, from syringes up to MRI and so on and so forth. And an hospital
Mm-hmm.
won't be won't be doing anything about it, right? They will
Mm-hmm.
just put out a tender and say, okay, I need an MRI. I can't pay that much. Who can get it to me, right? So
Mm-hmm.
here is a beautiful opportunity for somebody trading in medical supplies, right, to start a
Yeah.
business. So for phase one, I think the smart move is really to understand where the international community is going to invest more, and try to position yourself in the supply chain. Then probably in a second phase, that will come down to the small businesses. But at that
Mm-hmm.
point, I want those who are listening to your podcast to be already successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and we hope so, because I think if they follow this pattern, everything will be okay, and they and everything will be connected. And for as you said, small businesses and the backbone project in this country. So because we have 5 minutes now, as a last question, as you personally, someone who has been working with Sudanese people closely, what advice do you give them to build themselves and to restart again? And especially when it comes to small businesses, what kind of advice do you give them right now?
This is a very complicated question for me because I'm so much in love with the country, so much in love with the Sudanese people. I really find it hard to tell you guys, you could be doing that. You could, I mean, you also need to understand the perspective of a foreigner, right? When I came to Sudan, people were like, "Wow, you're going to Sudan." I mean, my colleagues, my friends, I was like, I was going to uncharted land, let me say. But what I found is the most open people I have ever met, most welcoming people I have ever met, and the most energetic people I have ever met. So it is just the truth. I mean, I still dream of the Laziz chicken, for example, and I wish at some point in time I can go back there. But my advice here is don't let anything change who you are. I mean, you guys have a great culture, a great identity, a great heritage, which is, I think, unmatched for not Africa, but most of the countries on this earth. And don't let what happened change who you are, because that is the foundation which will make you successful once again.
Thank you so much for this. And it's amazing to have this advice. And personally, I'm going to take it. And I hope everyone is listening right now to this podcast to listen to this advice, because we need to feel that we are confident in ourselves again. And we need to hear that a lot to believe it, because many of us, we really doubt that, because what happened is a lot on us, but we will start again. Thank you so much, Fabio, for being here in this episode and to give you from your time. And and I know how busy you are, and thank you for giving me the time and the ideas. And I hope, and I know you have many friends in Sudan who will see this episode and they will be encouraged just by seeing you, because I know that you have many friends in Sudan. So to all the people who are listening to me in Sudan, outside Sudan, Sudanese who want to return right now, I hope this episode is a great contribution to the way you think, to how you can think in a practical way to help you get out of your comfort zone. And when you return to Sudan, to think in a productive way to help you and to contribute to your economy and to your country and to your community. So thank you so much for watching me today, and goodbye.